What's up, you guys, and welcome to the Neo the Dark Sage channel, where we talk about any and everything entertainment wise. And in today's video, you already saw from the thumbnail and from the title, we are ranking Outkast's discography. Now, I will say this: Outkast has no terrible album. In fact, Outkast is one of my favorite hip-hop groups of all time, with Stankonia being one of my favorite hip-hop albums of all time. So you can already kind of tell where I'm going to be putting Stankonia. But in today's video, I have been spending this last week listening to their whole discography, listening to everything to refresh my mind, because I haven't listened to a lot of this music since I was like in middle school. But to listen to this as an adult, I appreciated some of this, and some of this I felt like they could have just left on the table. But before we actually get into actually ranking and putting this on a tier list, go ahead, like the video, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and follow me on all my other social media platforms. All my links will be in the description down below. But without further ado, let's actually go into the tier list. All right, guys, so here we go. We have the tier list right here. And just like in the Travis Scott video, we're going to start off with the earliest project, and we're going to end this tier list off with the latest project. And we're going to take a look at the track list for each of these projects right here and tell you some of the songs that I actually like for them. But first off, we got to start with Outkast's Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. And let's go ahead and look at the track list. Now, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, which is such a mouthful to say, is an album, you know, their debut album, which is one that I enjoyed, but it's not one that I really love. You get what I'm saying? It's their first album. It doesn't really set them apart. It's not the Andre and Big Boy that I'm really used to listening to, but as a first project, as their first debut into the actual hip hop scene, I will say this is an all right album as is. I'm pretty sure this was phenomenal back then, but from someone who kind of started off with Stankonia and went back, this album really doesn't hold up for me. But there are a few tracks that I really do like Ain't No Thing, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, Players Ball, Claiming True, Funky Ride, Get Up or Get Out. Come on, that's a classic right there. That's a classic. And we got Hootie Hoo and Deep. Those are some songs that I really do like off this album. But if I had to rank this album right here, I'd have to give Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music a B. Now, like I said, this is not a bad project at all, but this isn't the Andre and Big Boy that, you know, I've come to know and love. And in this project right here, they don't really have their personality, or they really haven't came into their own yet. So this project is all right, especially for a debut album. It's good by far as a debut project, but as something like I'm coming from Stankonia to this, it's not really that good to me. Like I said, not a bad album, but this definitely isn't one that I'm going back to like that. There are a few tracks that I do like though. Next project we got is ATLiens, and this is one of my favorite projects. Well, they got like 3 projects on here that are one of my favorite projects each, but ATLiens, I kind of had a hard time wanting to rank this on this little tier list right here because it's just so hard, and I don't want to put ATLiens and Aquemini in the same tier. I really didn't want to, and honestly, I really love ATLiens, so let's actually go ahead and look at the track list. All right, guys, so right here we have the track list for ATLiens, and this album actually came out in 1996. Right here we have 15 tracks of just pure heat. I'm not gonna lie to you, this album is phenomenal. It's fire. This is when Andre 3000 and Big Boy really become Andre 3000 and Big Boy. They actually become 2 separate artists. Well, I mean, they were 2 separate artists in the last project, but they become very distinctive in their flow, delivery, their cadences, and their actual voice, their tones, which I really do love when it comes to Outkast. Now, let's actually talk about some of the songs that I love, which is, as you can see on this tier list, probably most of them. I liked about like 13 out of 15 of these songs, with Two Dope Boys in the Cadillac being one of my favorites, ATLiens being one of my favorite, Wheels of Steel, Elevators, Me and You, Over the Woods, Babylon, Mainstream, Decatur Song, Millennium. What is not to love about this album right here, ATLiens? And it really saddens me to say that while this is my third favorite project, I used to like this a little bit more than Aquemini, but as I went back to Aquemini, I like Aquemini a bit more. But I will say that I like the vibe of ATLiens a lot more. This is when they become who they are, really, and the vibe that they actually go for, with them being aliens and them kind of like not being the same as the people that are around them in the hip-hop game, and them being considered aliens since they are outcasts. Get it? Aliens, Outkast? No. Okay, but either way, these songs definitely have a vibe to them. They definitely have that atmospheric production that I really do like from them. But I will say that this production is a bit lesser. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a bit lesser to me than Aquemini and Stankonia. While I feel like Stankonia takes a lot of risks that I love, and Aquemini just has much layered, much more detailed production. AT-Aliens is still a good album, but I'm gonna have to put AT-Aliens in A. I can't have too many albums going in the S rank because it'll be too easy. Honestly, I'd put 3 albums in here, but right now we gotta let AT-Aliens sit in A. Very great project. I can get how some people don't really love it like that, but this is a really good Outkast album. In fact, this is just a really good hip-hop album in general. But next project we gotta talk about, and one of my favorites, one of my newly favorites, because when I was younger, I really didn't like it like that. But now as I've gotten older, oh, I love it. And we got Aquemini, but let's go ahead and look at that track list for Aquemini because, oh, Aquemini is so heat. All right, so now we have Outkast's 3rd album with 16 tracks and coming out in 1998. And we got about a good amount of songs on here that I love as well. Some standout tracks for me is Return of the G, Rosa Parks, Skewed on the Barbie, Aquemini, Synthesizer, Slump, West Savannah, The Art of Storytelling, Part 1 and 2. I can really keep going on. Spody Odie, Dopalicious. Oh my gosh, there's just so much heat on this album. I can't. This is probably their best project rapping wise. Like when it comes to like, I wouldn't say no risk, but when it comes to sound, rapping ability, this is a great project. This is a phenomenal project. So I have to put Aquemini in the most predictable tier that I can, which is S tier. Aquemini is a very phenomenal project. Like I said, I do like the production a bit more on this project than AT-Aliens, and I'm not saying that to slight AT-Aliens. I just feel like the production was a bit more varied. It definitely is different compared to AT-Aliens, and I feel like all their albums are different. None of their albums sound the same. No song on there sounds the same as another song, but we are going to go into the next album, which it is consistent, but it does have a different sound compared to anything that hip hop was coming out at that time with. And that has to be Stankonia. Stankonia is one of my favorite hip hop projects, like I said earlier, of all time. I am happy, super, super happy to have revisited this as an adult. In fact, let's go ahead and look at the track list. Now right here, we have the track list for Stankonia, and you will see definitely that, well, there's a lot less likes that I had on this album compared to all the other albums. Now the other albums, those are straight hip hop albums. They sound like hip hop albums, but sound greatly produced, great rapping ability. Just, oh my gosh, the flow, the cadences, oh my gosh, the rhythm, the rhymes that they had, the bars that they had on those past 2 projects, phenomenal. But when it comes to Stankonia is one of my favorite projects. And as I've gotten older and went back to re-listen to this is definitely a different project for what Outkast was, but also for a hip hop project in general. This has that super funky sound that I really do like, that I didn't think I was gonna like as an adult, but I definitely do like it. And they took a big risk with the sound that was happening on this project. And honestly, I really appreciate it. There is no album that even sounds like this. And some of their biggest songs come off of this album. I mean, let's go ahead and look at the track list real quick. Look, I was already playing Miss Jackson earlier. We got Gasoline Dreams, which is a song I love. In fact, let me go ahead and heart that real quick. We got So Fresh, So Clean, my favorite song on the project in general. Miss Jackson, Snapping and Trapping, Spaghetti Junction, I'll Call Before I Come. I don't really like the song, but that's literally the only song that I really don't like on this project. We got Bombs Over Baghdad, Explosion, We Love These H Words, oh my gosh, Humble Mumble, Question, Drinking Again, Red Velvet, oh my gosh, Gangsta-ish, Toilet Tissue. There's so many great projects on here. I don't even know why I didn't like most of them, but this project is kind of bloated with 24 tracks. It got 24 tracks to it, but a lot of these are actual interludes, so I kind of forgive it for that because it has this little theme of like them getting in a huddle like at a football game, and they'd be like, break, and then it goes to like the next vibey song. So I don't know what they was doing with Stankonia, but they definitely put their foot in it. I guess you could say they really put some stank on it. I'm sorry, let's actually go ahead and rank Stankonia. And for that horrible joke, I had to put Stankonia in S. Now, there's only 2 albums going in S. I'm gonna be real with you right now. There's only 2 albums going in S because I really wanted to put AT-Aliens in S, but I had to have something accompanying A. I wanted to have at least 1 album in each of these little, you know, grading sector tiers or whatever. So I gotta talk about Speaker Box and The Love Below, which is an album that I listened to when I was younger, but as I've gotten older and I listened to it recently, I will say I did not really like this project overall as a whole. I'm talking about both sides, A and B, Speaker Box and Love Below. But let's go ahead and go into the track list, talk about some of these songs. Now, when it came to the Speaker Box and the Love Below, I could respect it for what it has done with hip hop. more so the Love Below part of what is done with hip hop. I mean, the Love Below was basically a predecessor to 808s and Heartbreak, one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time as well. But we got Speaker Box, which is the side with Big Boy just rapping, and we got the Love Below, which was Andre's side, where he's definitely infusing live instrumentations with this funky jazz-like sound. It kind of sounds like Prince with hip-hop blend mixed into it. And I'm not really a big fan of Prince, so that probably explains why I really wasn't a big fan of the Love Below. But let's actually go through this 40-track album, because this is a double album, and one side is one artist and the other side is another artist, and they barely collab on each other's stuff throughout both the projects, which is a very weird concept. But this won hip-hop album of the year. I don't know how they do it, but I definitely respect it. But let's actually go through some of these tracks right here. I'm not gonna lie, I liked Speaker Box way more than the Love Below itself. But with Ghetto Music, with Unhappy, with The Way You Move, I mean, The Way You Move is such a classic track. The Rooster, Bust featuring Killer Mike, which Killer Mike was, oh my gosh, Killer Mike was in his bag back then. He's in his bag too now. He's one of my favorite rappers, but oh, he was in his bag back when he was coming up. We got War, we got Tomb of the Boom, which is a JoJo reference. Tomb of the Boom being a JoJo reference, and Big Boy, everybody on the song killed their verse. Actually, I'm not even gonna say Big Boy and just Ludacris. Everybody on that song killed their verse. And we got Knowing and Flip Flop Rock featuring Killer Mike and Jay-Z. Oh my gosh, we still have even more tracks. We got Reset featuring Cujo Goody and CeeLo Green, and we have Last Call, which I really enjoyed. As you can see, I liked a pretty good amount of tracks from Speaker Box, but when it comes to the actual Love Below part, I only liked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I really liked a good amount of the Love Below, but the Love Below was like 21 tracks. Both these albums were both long on each side. 40 tracks, even though it was a double disc album, but 40 tracks? Honestly, I feel like if they would have just cut out 10 of the best tracks from Speaker Box and 10 of the best tracks from Love Below, perfect album, baby. But I will say that Andre 3000 definitely was going for something that was not of this world. Shout out to ATLiens, but he was definitely feeling like an Outkast. And I will say that this album is way more adventurous and experimental than Speaker Box was. To me, Speaker Box, Big Boy was pretty comfortable. Big Boy knew his lane and he stayed in it, and he knew what he was doing, trust me. But when it came to the Love Below, there were a lot of things I did not like in this. There was a lot of bumps and bruises that I wasn't enjoying, but I will say after it hits about She Lives in My Lap to Hey Y'all, everything after that, fire, phenomenal. Except for that one song where it was just literally a beat breakdown. I think it was like My Favorite Things. I liked it, but I feel like it went a bit too long for what it actually was. But honestly, we got Hey Y'all, Roses, Behold a Lady, Pink and Blue, Love and War, She's Alive, and that fire verse of A Life in the Day of Benjamin Andre. Come on, man. Come on, that song was fire, especially when he was just rapping, just giving us bars. Oh, if the whole album was like that, oh my god, I wonder what made them really do this. This is still considered an Outkast album, but it's two separate albums with one artist taking one side and the other artist taking the other side. I'm so confused on what they were really doing with this, and there's a lot of tracks to like on this, but overall I have to give Speaker Box and the Love Below a C tier. I will say that this is not a bad album at all, but honestly I think that all the other albums above it, cohesively, consistently, production wise, were a bit better. Like I said, there are plenty of standout tracks when it comes to the Love Below and Speaker Box, but as an album, as a cohesive body of work, it really wasn't for me. And we got the last album, which I didn't really want to talk about because I was like, you know, this is a soundtrack, but the more I looked into it, it was more of a companion to the movie, kind of like how the Black Panther soundtrack produced by Kendrick Lamar was a companion for the Black Panther movie itself. While there are some songs that were on this soundtrack, or this album, I guess, that were on the actual movie, which I have not seen, this is an Outkast album that I gotta count, and let's go ahead and look at the track list. All right, guys, so we have Idlewild, which came out in 2006, and 25 tracks. This album is super bloated, and honestly, there are just so many things that I do not like about this album, and it just feels like the most disjointed Outkast album that we could have gotten, especially after we got the Speaker Box and the Love Below. It was like the compatibility factor between Big Boy and Andre were kind of gone after the Speaker Box and Love Below. You could kind of see that split, especially with Andre being super experimental with his sound and what he was doing on Stankonia. You could definitely see that split has definitely hit right here. Like, this is it right here, and this is This isn't good. I think I only I like 4 or 5 songs out of this 25 track album, and the songs I did like were Chromo No Mentrophobia, which was only 2 minutes and Andre was spitting on that song. We got The Train, we got Hollywood Divorce, which Lil Wayne had a fire verse on there. We also have Bugface, which I don't remember that as well, but I did like it. And we got In Your Dreams. I did like the Morris Brown song. That was an all right song, but besides that, I really did not like this album at all. It just felt too long for what it needed to go for, and it had way too many features for me on this album. I know I hate to say it like that, but I kind of like this Big Boy and Andre 3000 rapping with each other. So when it comes to Idlewild, I want to give it a pass, but it's more of a companion project than it is an actual soundtrack to the actual movie Idlewild. And they actually worked on the music. It's just that it didn't really go as far as I really wanted to go. And there are some themes and some concepts on this album that I really do like that I wish were actually explored through an Outkast medium rather than Outkast trying to produce a soundtrack / companion project for the movie that they were coming out with. So for that, I'm gonna have to give Idlewild a solid D. Pause. Now let's actually go over the tier list and let's see what I ranked everything. In the D tier, we have Idlewild. In the C tier, we have Speaker Box and The Love Below. In the B tier, we have Southern Playlistic, Cadillac Music. In the A tier, we have AT Aliens, which I really wanted to move to S, but I'm not going to do that. And we have the S tier, which has Aquemini and Stankonia. Do not ask me to pick which one over them two. Do not do that, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I love the risk that they really took with Stankonia, but ooh, that rapping. That synergy that Andre and Big Boy had on Aquemini. I can't explain it. I just can't. Those albums, it's hard for me to even put one. It's hard for me to put AT Aliens. You know what? For the sake of the video, AT Aliens is A, but for the sake of me, I'm putting it in S, because AT Aliens, fire. It's fire, baby. But that's about it for the video. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. It was very hard for me to rank some of these albums. No, it wasn't. It was actually pretty easy, and it was very fun. And I had a great time listening to some of these Outkast projects, especially since I've listened to them since I was in middle school. So to come back to them now, I really appreciate Outkast, and I want to say thank you, Outkast, for coming out with such a great body, or such great bodies of work throughout the history of hip-hop. And oh my gosh, hip-hop needs to give you guys your flowers, because y'all deserve them. But that's about it. Let me know what you guys thought about this discography down in the comment section down below, and let me know what you would rank each of these albums at. Please don't disagree with me, because I will have to argue you in the comment section, and I don't want to do that. But like I said, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, like the video. Like I said, thank you guys for watching. Dark Sage out. Peace.